correct?
We're talking about a number of items. We know that the number of reductions have been done, and we will see some impact, although staff has not been reduced.
I'm talking about the manager line item. Is that going to be a significant reduction in that line? And then I would like to compare it to the amount of time you're talking about the laptop and the merit raises.
Yeah, so the three, if Chuck is only interim for 3 months, July, August, and September, and we have someone start on October 1st, he will have covered just in the manager's salary, not including benefits, and not to speak of the executive assistant or the cross-training, just the 3-month salary of the manager will cover all of those expenses and way more.
Way more.
Way more.
Correct.
If he's only interim for 3 months.
That's my question.
Okay. Well, she covered it, and we're not unaware of that. We simply are saying the items that is concerned by some board members, that items that were expended are disconcerting.
I was pointing out the fact that his role in the reduction in cost to receive that role.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President.
Mr. Mitchell.
I'd like to weigh in on this. I'm a little indignant at the way this Shannon is being treated. Let's look at this historically. It was Chip Stearns who was given carte blanche, almost $15,000 at each pop. So that meant he could go out one day, spend $14,999 and go out the next day. Now, Willis Chip Stearns also reaped the benefits of $150,000 in overexpenses in the Rockingham Free Public Library. So let's lay the blame where the blame goes, Mr. McCullough. Your golden-haired boy is the one that got all this. The $15,000 in a pop. You said nothing all these years, and now you take it out on our finance director. I'm sorry, Jiggs. You are out of line.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for your input. If the board is satisfied that I will have a conversation with the interim manager and check back with you folks, I'll send you an email or something like that. I could do that before our next meeting. Okay, is that all right?
Great.
Everyone's good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the last item under finances is just discussion of a policy on selling of village equipment. That's been up and down. We found out the sport track that didn't get sold was sitting in a pit. It's supposed to be done a couple of years ago. We further along, we will come up with the, we'll be talking about the truck sale. So is the board in favor of developing a policy for sale of equipment? And the whole point is to see where we believe a limit should be established so that things don't just get given away, which apparently has happened in past years, not in this current administration. But what's the board's thought on that?
Well, I think, if I may, I think a policy is in order because we should have some. We've had questions whether it be the vehicles or whether it be a piece of property. A perfect example for a vehicle is the one that sat up there for how many years and we already thought it was sold. Mm-hmm. Getting into the real estate aspect of it, we had real estate on Green Street that we could have actually sold for more at the offer we had, and it was, I believe, refused by somebody. If it's then it went for at the actual sale after that. So, whether it, a lot of things. I'm no stranger to it. It's you see a lot of these, whether it be a bid transaction or whatever. There's some discretionary conversation in there, terminology as such, pending approval of the board, right to reject or any and all bids, etc. I think we ought to have something because, we ought to have something.
Has there ever been one?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, prior to now?
There had been many years ago. I don't know if it was a policy, but it was an understanding or a consensus.
Nothing in writing that you're aware of.
Not
except perhaps
aware
in
of,
a meeting minutes.
No, other than if you termed it when you put your whatever you were selling out to bid, whether it been the town select board or the town of village trustees, the board reserves the right to reject any and all bids. Pretty simple. Short terminology, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. That way it comes back before the board as to what it is. Whether it be the Auctions International site that's used or any other auction site, generally, I'd say probably 3/4 of them, if they're from a municipality, have that criteria. Whether you go to municipal bids, take a look and see what the criteria is at municipal bids. You can bid on it, be the successful bidder, but it's pending a board meeting in the following week or whatever,
So right now, the village takes these as they come about. We do them on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
So is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, we don't have any.
So yeah, I
specific
think a policy is in order, a simple policy that kind of outlines how to go about future sales.
Yeah.
And that way the board doesn't become unhappy with any particular sale. Because we did that. Jigs, what do you think?
I have no problem.
Jeff?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
It's great.
some of the other reasoning for that is because I've been here for a while. I've been here while we've had management. We had stuff for sale that we weren't even aware of. It was, I guess, time was advertised in-house. Then it was advertised because nobody wanted it in-house. Went outside, didn't sell. Then somebody comes waltzing in here on a weekday morning saying, hey, I know you had the stuff for sale, but it didn't sell. I'm going to offer you this for it. And yeah, okay, get rid of it. And I'll stop short of an example.
I know that I've got at least a couple of examples because we talked about this possibly in the back,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. We never did anything, and bring something to the board for our next meeting so we can go over something. If you guys have any additional thoughts or you develop something, bring it
Oh.
in too. We'll work something together and develop a policy that we can all agree on.
The one that took my cake that year was with the real estate that we had. And we ended up actually not having or receiving as much as what we should have or could have the first time. And if it was left up to the board to make the yay or nay as to the final decision, you have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Is that good with the board? Okay,
Reasonable. That's fine.
next meeting, we'll have it in September. Moving on to the water department finally, Brian. You can come up here and give us a general update. Thank you.
First of all, can we thank him for his patience?
Yes.
He's been here
Yeah,
diligently.
really,
each
thanks.
time.
What time is it? Holy cow. Over an hour.
Yeah, well, everything's running well. The plant's running good. We were picked one of 800 water systems in the country. I wish I could be so lucky with the lottery to do special EPA testing. So I had to do 2 tests a month for 4 months, and halfway through it. This test I do next week will put us halfway through. And I called the lab to find results, and they said it'll be EPA slow. It'll be a few months before you see any results from the testing.
You'll have gotten all of your testings done by then, pretty much.
Yes, yeah. And what they're testing for, I believe it's a byproduct of an algae bloom. It's called cryotoxins.
Wow.
So I don't know if they're worried about. I've never seen an algae bloom at the plant. So now my state testing is pretty much wrapped up for the year. We just have one more, which is a PFAS, like we did last year. And if this one comes back non-detected like last year's, then we won't have to do it for 3 years.
Oh.
And that's a $600 test. We did our lead and copper samples where we send out 20 samples to various residents. They get up in the morning, the first draw, they take the sample, and they came incredibly low. All the testing was very low on lead and copper. We did our tank cleaning. You probably saw that in the budget line, and all the tanks were in really good shape, except for Grizzle Drive starting to show some wear and tear. There's a crack on the overflow. I got to review the tape a little better. And pond level's holding good. Our overflow's 23, and I just checked it before I came, and it was at 1995. So the pond level's holding good even with the drought. Then our flows are running, quite a bit higher, but I think it's because it's been so dry.
Anyone else, any questions?
I have a
For
couple.
Ryan? Sure. Go ahead. Who said that?
I did, but go ahead.
No, you
Okay.
did. I don't have any questions.
The tank cleaning, I was just curious. So that I saw, was looking at it. That's for all the tank. They did all the tanks?
All 4
There's
tanks
4, right?
and the intake structure at the pond. Diver went down. We activated, so I don't dare shut it off. We never really have to, but I'm afraid if I shut it off, it won't open and then we're stuck. So we activated it when the diver was down there and it worked fine. And they checked screens and they were fine.
So when they come in and do all 4 tanks at one time, how many days is
Oh,
that?
it's a week.
A week?
Yeah.
And how often was that?
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
Okay.
Okay. The other question I had, do we have money in our maintenance budget for hydrants to paint them? And when was the last time they
We
were?
have a,
Do
we
we
have
have
a,
any?
sup-
It must have been umpteen years ago that they were painted.
yeah,
They're in drastic need of some
yeah,
touch-ups.
yeah. Thing is, Bernie and I have done a couple. They just don't last unless you sandblast them and we don't. we
Yeah, I
set
mean,
up
there's
for
no
that.
doubt it takes a little elbow grease to,
Yeah,
but I happened to be in a couple other communities recently where they were doing them, and now that we're getting our streets cleaned, which looks great,
yeah,
the nice hydrants they just dress it up,
yep.
you know, which, I mean, we all know that, but
In the other communities, do they do them themselves or do they outsource?
I think they just do it themselves, peck away at it as best they
Yeah,
can.
well, we have done some. Like I said, we did the one, if you look between Golden Cross and the Big Red Barn, we did that 5 years ago, and you look at it now, it's like we never touched it. Because we actually replaced the whole barrel on that one.
Anyone else? Have any questions for Brian? No, it looks like we would, thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Move on to the Pine Street project next. And is that you or Chrissy?
That was probably Chrissy.
Hey, Chrissy. Hi,
Hello.
Oh,
good evening. So Pine Street,
Yes. So on Pine Street, well, actually, first of all, I just wanted to touch base back on your hydrant maintenance question. Just for some information, some municipalities use volunteer high school students to paint their hydrants. So might be something to look into.
looks COVID safe. I think that might be a good idea.
Community service. They all have community service.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, go ahead.
So you have, you should have 2 documents in front of you. One is a memo that has a table with a whole bunch of numbers on it. And then the other one is a letter for a recommendation to award. So I'll just quickly go through the recommendation to award. We check, so we receive bids and we go through all the numbers. We make sure all the math works out. We make sure all the bids were filled out properly. And so after doing all of that review, Knott's Excavating was identified as the low bidder with a bid of $421,970.20. Now that is for the base bid plus alternates 1 and 2. And just a quick reminder on that, the base bid is Pine Street from George Street up to Front Street. And the alternate 1 is George Street, or sorry, alternate 1 was Williams Terrace from Pine Street to Forest Street. And alternate 2 was George Street from Atkinson to Pine. And so we did the bid evaluations based on all of it added together. And so the bid from Knott's was responsive. We requested references and all the references were good. We contacted his bonding agent who confirmed that they will be providing payment and performance bonds. And so based on all of that, we would recommend award to Knott's Excavating. So then the piece to figure out is, what are you going to award? So the memo that you have summarizes all of the different options you have. So our estimate is the first column there. That was our estimate that we came to the board with in May. And then the next column over is just the base bid. So that would just be Pine Street. The next column over would be Pine Street plus doing the Williams Terrace piece. The fourth column over is Pine Street plus just George Street. And then the last column is all of it. So the paragraph down below notes that we have about, we're estimating, so Mill Street is done now. And so we have final numbers on that. Burton Blake is still in progress, but the final paving is done. And so we're working through quantities right now. We're estimating you have about 560,000 remaining in your bond authority and your loan. So you have sufficient funds to cover the Pine Street, George Street, and Williams Terrace work, all of it, which total project cost, construction plus contingency, plus all of the engineering, and some legal and administrative estimate number, it was about 537,000. So you have more than enough to cover that. So we would recommend doing all of it, and that would that's going to pretty much use up all of your funds. Just a reminder, this is a 40% grant, so 40% of that does not have to be paid back by the village. So it's a good idea to use that funding. That's some really good funding that you have right now. Any questions?
Anyone? Yes, Jeff? I think.
Go ahead.
Jeff has something.
I was just curious, with the design engineering, construction engineering, and legal administrative, if the alternates are not completed, that would be a cost that would be incurred the next time around, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you didn't construct the two alternates now, they're already designed, so you would have that basically on the shelf ready to go. The construction engineering and actually the construction cost for those alternates would likely be more if you did them as separate projects, just because of the mobilization costs. There's some other kind of overhead costs involved in all of that, that they would cost more as separate projects.
Understood. Thank you.
Jakes, you had something.
Just the question, not engineering, I believe, has done other projects here in the village.
They did Mill Street.
Huh?
They did Mill Street.
Did they do Mill Street? Okay, I think they did Hadley Street. I'm not sure.
Yep,
But I
yeah,
think
Hadley.
they did.
And they did
Yep,
all,
And so I'm interested in your opinion, Brian, as to how they've performed.
Yeah, they did Hadley, Chase, and Oak. They did all three of those. And I know one of the previous board members had a little issue, but I mean, Ray was dealing with that more than I was, so, but I didn't hear of any problems. And Mill Street, there are a few problems here and there, but you get into a scope like that, you're gonna find things, and they worked around the problems well.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion.
Oh, right, because we still have to talk about choice. Yeah, we can discuss once. You go ahead and make a motion.
I'd make the motion to do all the work. And I'm not sure whether we're approving the 421 for this round. I guess, Christie, you'd have to.
Are we approving the entire amount of 536,970?
So you'd be approving the award of the 421,970 because the other work has already been approved.
Okay.
So I'd make the move then to go ahead with with all three phases of this project and appropriate a sum of $429,970.
You meant 421,970?
421, that's exactly what I meant.
421,970
20 cents.
And I'll
I
second
didn't
that.
put any cents on it.
No, it makes no sense at all. Is that what
Makes
you're
no
saying?
sense.
Yeah. Okay, Stefan
Oh, yeah,
seconded.
okay.
Yeah, see, there's a dollar.
And 20 cents.
And 20 cents. Don't forget that 20 cents.
We could round up to
I was going to say, have a
971.
contingency fee in there. For
So
fun.
we have a second now discussion. Wade, you had something?
Yeah, I was just curious, probably Brian, or either one of them can answer. So going up, it's only up to 4th Street on Williams Terrace. That's not very far
Yeah,
up, right?
what
Just
it-
a
what
short
it is,
piece.
At the edge of Forest and Williams, we have a bad valve. If we ever try to turn it, it
Yeah.
leaks, and then we play with it for ever to get it to stop.
Right. So you got to go up far enough to get that valve in.
Anyone
So
else?
that's a short
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
stint right
Yep.
there. Yeah.
Yep. And those valves aren't that old, but it leaks.
My apology, Wade. I thought you were done.
No, so I was just curious.
Anyone else on the board?
Nope. we're
Nope. We good?
good. Self-explanatory.
Okay. Nope. Just checking. There's no hands. All right. Okay. So with the motion in mind, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. You have the motion. Thanks, Chrissy.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks for coming in on your
Thank you.
vacation.
Hang around. All right. Oh, yeah, sure. I thought you wanted to ask it while we were making the motion. but- Okay, so please do.
Where do the funds come from?
Where are the funds coming from to pay for this?
So this is already, Chrissy left. So this is already in the bonds that we
Okay.
took out. This
There
is just
are remaining funds.
The
yeah.
remaining funds. So the bond payment that we're paying will not change whatsoever.
Right.
This is already included in it. And in fact, if we didn't do the work, which needs to be done, the bond payments wouldn't change until the back end of the loan.
Okay. And then how much money is left in this bond and how much more is critical infrastructure that needs to be addressed? Any idea?
It says 560 on there, is that right?
Only like
Yeah, you're gonna have
24,000.
24,
Would be left.
How much?
23,000.
Would be left.
And that's it.
We started with 8.1 million.
Now we're down to like 560, and when we eat that up with this project, we'll have about $24,000 left.
This is the balance that we had left over that we hadn't decided what we were going to do for going to a full project or
Yeah.
not. So,
Okay,
and
anything?
with the 40%.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, the 40% of forgiveness, I love that.
That's the selling point.
All right, moving on, we're on to the fire department. Item number 3, update on the truck sale. Oh, Sean's here. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and use that microphone.
So I think I sent you all an email saying that the truck sold. The highest offer we got was 3,000. I talked with Chuck. We accepted that, and the guy picked up the truck on Saturday.
So it's gone. So we got that. Anyone?
It's gone already.
Gone already.
I wanted to get my picture taken with it one last time.
John, do the proceeds go to the town? I mean, the town buys the fire equipment, don't they?
That was actually
Not
owned
that
by the
one,
village.
yeah.
We own that
Oh,
one.
we
That
own
was-
this one, okay.
That was the last
All
one the
right.
village bought.
Okay, so yeah, I wasn't clear where the $3,000 is supposed to go
Right.
because of what happened with the Rockingham Volunteer Fire Department and money going into that account. So
This
when we
is-
sell a piece of equipment, does it have to go into that account?
This is totally separate. We can
Okay.
do that. This is totally separate. I think I put out in an email that what I'd like to do is take that money and buy some hose with it. So that's up to you guys.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have something? Anything? I mean, I think
Well, we
we're
have
all
our-
slightly disappointed that it only sold for $3,000 when you put it out there for 8, which is really the reason why we're going to be developing a policy of sale.
Yep.
Because that was not what we were anticipating, especially when we sell a 2014 for over $5,000.
Yeah, this was an 89.
Yeah.
That was 31 years old.
I understand.
Okay.
I do.
But in a sense, we kind of sold it for more than that because you stripped the truck with
We
a
did.
couple things.
We actually took 3 major pieces of equipment off of it. We took Jaffrey valve. For those of you that don't know, that's an inlet valve. Debbie, you should know what that is.
I do. I was gonna say, we should talk about buying hose.
And that's worth roughly about $1,800. We saved the siren off of it, which is a federal queue. For most of you that don't know, that's worth roughly about $2,000, even used. Sometimes they're a little bit less used, but they're relatively expensive. And the deck gun, which is anywhere between $1,500 and $2,200, depending on how fancy you want to get with that. So
where are them now?
the deck gun, the Jeffrey valve we put on the old engine and put the newer one on the new truck. The deck gun we put on the new truck, and the siren we put on the new truck.
Sean, the part that the town buys, the equipment that the town buys.
Yeah.
For the 3 departments.
Yes.
It doesn't include hoses.
That's actually one of the things that is up for discussion this year. I think it should be. It hasn't really been finalized, but the things that I added into the townwide purchasing, or I'd like to see added in, are hose, gear, and
SCBA?
SCBA was already in there.
Okay.
Nobody's been following the policy. But hose, gear, and I don't remember the other one right off. The way that the agreement that was signed in '96 was written was that major equipment purchases, SCBA's, and anything else deemed necessary. So you just have to. I mean, I'm sure that
That's
everything is
interpretive,
deemed
right.
necessary, but I think it should be a list that's spelled out.
Yeah.
And what I had proposed this year was $5,000 out of our equipment budget go into that line item to be spent on gear. And then moving forward, my line item for that would be reduced by $5,000 every year. I'd like to see us buy 2 sets of gear every year, unless we get to a point where we don't need to buy anymore. But that will keep us from having to rely on grants. We've been very lucky with grants. But the next set of fire act grants is set to expire in 2 years. And our gear is good until I think 2027. So unless there's more grants that come available, we would have been looking at replacing 20 full sets of turnout gear. But I think it's a lot better to do a couple sets a year. Maybe we'll get down to 1 set, but I think that's a better way to go.
Obviously, I want you to have reliable hoses.
Yeah.
But can we put this into the general fund, and then you have an equipment line item on your budget, don't you?
We do.
And kind of see how you go with that line item, and then talk about it later in the year.
Maybe let us know if if it's more than the amount you actually have to spend already.
It's up to you guys. I would prefer to buy the hose now, but that's up to you.
Can you do that with your existing budget?
I can.
That's what I'm suggesting is if this town committee, I don't know when they meet, but
the fire committee.
Refresh my memory. Maybe Guy Talon remembers the article that was for 12,500 just passed. So what was that?
That was for the Rockingham Fire Department.
That was for the Rockingham
Okay.
specifically.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, careful. Don't dip into that. Make
Yeah,
somebody angry.
Beyond this board's authority to do that.
That's right.
So in your current equipment line item now,
Yes.
is there any money? I know did hose make up part of that?
I will tell you right now, I will not buy hose out of my current budget because I believe it should come unless this I looked at as a separate opportunity to get ahead on hose. But I will not buy any hose out of my budget because I believe that's something the town should eventually buy. But we are short on hose right now. That's why I was looking to spend this $3,000 on hose.
So in your current line item, there's part of that makeup wasn't for a certain
No.
amount of hose.
Nope.
So where is that 3,000 supposed to go, Shannon? Just general budget?
Well, it would go into either miscellaneous income, or if there's sale of equipment line, I can go look. So
Okay,
it
so
would It would
That's
hit
the-
this budget as a positive.
Okay.
So if you don't spend it, it would go into the general fund. Gaetano.
Yes.
Yes, so if you took roughly $4,500 worth of equipment off of old engine 2, the 89 truck that was sold, and sold it for $3,000, you listed it at $8,000, which is more than that truck's worth, and I don't think anyone ever expected it, and you got $3,000, took $4,500 off of it. It seems yourself and Stefan are displeased with the process and the amount. Could you explain that to me, or?
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask the chief. Is that not the truck that we put the brand new tires and rims on one of them?
How long ago?
Within the last 2 years?
No.
It's not.
I can look into that, but that is not actually.
I just would like an answer to that question. I'm
Right.
not talking about the tires that from it.
Yeah.
Actually, I believe the truck that you put new tires and rims on is the bucket truck that sold. Because I know that did have brand new tires and rims on it.
Well, I thought, no, I thought somebody had told me, my recollection was that we put new rims and tires on that truck.
Oh, we did on a they did like a partial refurb of the cab
Yeah.
about 10 years ago.
Oh, I thought it was more.
No, I can look into that. It was back when Bill Weston was here, so it's at least
But
least 6 or 7.
in reference to my comment, Mr. Gaetano, it's not that I'm displeased. I think we could have realized a better return or more of a maximum return if we had exercised another route.
Okay, you want to answer your question, right? My feeling is that first of all, I was not aware until tonight that it was $4,500 in equipment removed from the truck, so I didn't know that. Number two is that in selling something, if it didn't receive even half of the amount of money it was listed for, I would simply hold it, no value lost, put it back out again to bid and see if you received a higher bid. It's possible. And depends on where it was done. It wasn't listed on Auctions International. It wasn't listed on a couple of other places that it might have garnered more money. So that's why we need a policy. It's not because he doesn't know what he's doing. It's not what it's about. It's about, and then there was equipment taken off that has value. But that value, it's not cash in hand. It's not $5,000 or $6,000 spent on hose or something like that. It's a matter of having a policy where we consistently sell things in the same place. We don't give it away.
No, I get that part.
You know?
It's separate from my question, which
That's
I don't-
that's my reasoning for being displeased with $3,000.
I don't think you would have got more than 3,000, but on the other hand, Stefan would ask all the time, where are we at with the sale? So I'm not sure you guys wanted to wait and list it somewhere else. It was listed all over the place, and it's a collector's
Point of
item.
order here. Hold on a second.
Let's not argue.
You're not going to bully me on this board and say Stefan would ask about the sale, because did I ask you anything about the sale?
Well, you would ask me.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Gentlemen, agree to disagree.
Well, no, I did not. So that's the point. I'm going to make a comment. I'm going to rebut it. If I asked about the sale, I'd come right out and say, no, I did not.
You did.
No, I did not.
You asked me several times.
Gentlemen, point of
Hold on
order.
a second. Point
Correct.
of order here.
We'd like to get along with
We'd
it.
like to move on to the next item on the
I
agenda.
know you would, Jigs.
I asked you about specifically the rescue, not the engine. You said that we were selling the rescue
Okay.
to a party in Pennsylvania. What's going on with that since you brought it up?
That's not my place. I don't work for the village.
No, but you are the select board member to the chair. It's a town piece of equipment. I mean, you willing to offer? Because that's what I asked you about.
That's not what you asked me about.
Yes, it
We're
is.
talking about engine 2.
Take control of it.
Okay, gentlemen, I think
No,
we're
That's
done.
what I asked you about.
I'd like to move on to the next item. That is why we will have a policy for sales so that we will always consistently do the same thing. Go the same place and bring it to the board so we can have the right of first refusal, whatever we need to do. Thank you.
So what about the hose?
So what is the board's pleasure? Do you want to say, take the $3,000 and buy hoses with them since they do need them?
I think that the point of the matter is that when you sell a piece of equipment, the revenue comes into miscellaneous revenue,
Mhm.
okay?
General
So it's
fund,
going to come
yeah.
into revenue.
Right.
If you buy hose, it's going to be expense to his
Mm-hmm.
equipment budget.
It has
So
to be
it's-
expended somewhere, right?
It's kind of academic. I think if you need the hoses, get the hoses. But I think but it's not like you're spending that money. You're spending it out of a budget line. So you follow me? So it's not like we're going to take that 3,000 of revenue and put it some different place.
However,
follow?
you understand what he is trying to say. If it comes out of the town agreed account for paying for large apparatus, hoses,
Then
gear.
we wouldn't have to spend the
Right,
money.
exactly. Then he wouldn't be expending it out of that budget line. It would be expended from that account,
Correct.
But if
which
you
has its
can't
own budget
wait-
line.
If you can't wait until the town revises their policy,
Mhm.
then, and he needs the hoses, buy the hoses.
But that would mean at this point, it's going to come out of
It's
your
gonna come
budget
out of that
line.
expense line.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
But that's, that's the,
So it looks like I think we're good with that. I don't hear anyone saying, no, don't do that.
So, is this money going into the general fund or is
Yeah.
it going in,
yeah,
is it going
goes
into the?
general
All right,
fund.
all right.
No,
Yep,
I'm sorry, no, it goes into a revenue line on this budget year.
right, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
that,
your expenses can offset it.
so
Okay.
if I spent $3,000, if I spent $2,000 in hose, is that going to come out of that or is it going to come out of my budget? Will that line go into that budget?
Well, we can add a new line, so I hate to even bring this up. Remember card number 2?
Yes.
We can do exactly the same thing. We can create another line for hose purchase
Hoses.
with revenues from
Sale
sale
of-
of truck.
Okay.
Well,
And then he would use
yeah,
that,
but
but
you
2,000
can't,
instead.
well, anyway.
You don't
You know,
agree with that?
revenue is revenue, expense is
Right.
expense.
Uh-huh.
That's what we said.
Yeah.
It will be separated. Any further discussion on the sale to hose question? I don't hear anything.
Let's go to the next item.
We're going on. All right. Now we move to cleanup directive. I guess you're also speaking on that.
Building usage.
Building usage, my mistake, building usage. That's the next item. And that's you.
Yeah, so I don't know how many, I think an email was sent out that there is somebody interested in using the third floor for yoga classes. So I have talked with, it's Janet Croft from Saxons River. I showed her the space a few weeks ago. She's very interested in it. I think with this, maybe with this current spike, she hasn't gotten back to me with the current spike and the COVID stuff. She hasn't gotten back to me with a start date. But one of the things that came up was a fee for using the building. So one of the things that she offered to do was to offer free classes to the firefighters. I don't really see myself doing yoga. Maybe I should try it. But there should be moving forward a fee for using that if you wish, unless you just want to call it a public space. I do know that in years past, the Snowmobile Club had used it for their meetings. So
I didn't know that.
But, so you got somebody who wants to run a yoga class business in the training room?
yes, yeah, it's actually Jiggs's wife is part of this class, and they were, I think, out in VA.
Oh,
And-
VA, yes.
And VA is not opening the campus up this year. Is that
Oh, right,
correct?
that's right.
Correct.
So they were looking for an alternate spot. I think that building doesn't get enough use. So I've been talking with board members over the years about trying to. We're currently working to get the elevator back in service, either through grant or other options. But this was the first step in trying to use that as a more public space.
So when were you anticipating to do that?
As far as
The classes?
the classes, I'm waiting to hear from her.
Okay.
So
I have a concern, and my concern would be that if these classes open to the public?
you're talking about, I'm sure you're going to go down the ADA.
Yeah, if, because
actually,
we've already
so-
had the ADA question
So
here.
from what
so-
I understand, that this is a private group, so it doesn't meet that. It's not open to the public.
Mhm.
So,
It's
I,
by
yeah,
signed
I
up.
have
Yeah.
I have thought about that.
Okay.
What does the board
But
think
they
of
pay
it?
a fee.
Yeah.
Do they pay a fee to this woman to run the class?
I would assume so, but I
Yeah.
don't. I think it's. I don't know a whole lot about it. I really don't.
Yeah. So there may be a fee for her.
There's a per class fee.
Is it per class fee?
A person
Oh.
that takes a class would pay
pays
a
a fee.
small fee.
From a financial perspective, I would like to come up with a fee structure if we want to rent that space or let other people use the space, and come up with a fee structure so it's the same for everybody. But I do think that we should charge a fee.
Yeah.
And how, as far as liability, if somebody gets hurt going up or downstairs or whatever?
Our
while they're
insurance
there.
would cover it. We're covered.
No.
Are we private
No,
citizens?
You want to transfer that to them or make sure they have certificate of insurance and
Oh, waiver.
proper waivers and hold harmless stuff. We don't want to, we shouldn't put the village residents on the hook for any liability for that.
So yeah, so
What is that
there's
considered?
two.
I mean, you're right, we are covered, but
They should sign a waiver.
we shouldn't,
Yeah.
the village residents shouldn't be on that shouldn't be on our dime.
Well, it's no different than when they use the waypoint. We have certain groups that use that and we have a waiver.
A
there,
waiver
so-
for that. So there's a form
Well,
for
a
that.
waiver and a certificate of
Yeah,
insurance.
right,
There
yeah.
should be a rental and use agreement in place. I don't know if we have one, but
I'm assuming there's the same things we already have for the
We
Waypoint
do.
Center.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have all those already drawn
and
up.
probably the Opera House as well. Those kinds of waivers and things and liabilities and certificates, yeah. So we could do that, but a fee structure needs to be developed and isn't developed yet. And you don't know, and you don't at this point have any idea of how much time is going to be spent, how many days a week. Or even if she's going to start now. We're
Right.
talking about something that's,
Right.
you know, not solidified.
The proposal that she had was 2 days a week, and she thought she'd be there roughly about 2 hours, which was basically a half hour setup, an hour for the class, and half hour breakdown. So it's probably gonna be less time than that, but
Mhm.
that's what she was
Do you want to come
proposing.
back to us so we can see if we're good with it, or at this point, just come back, develop something, come back to us so we can review it and say we're good on it.
Yeah, I
All
can
the
work with the
pieces are
chief
together.
to do that.
Maybe she'll have talked to you by then.
I can reach out to her as well.
Are we good with that, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Next, the cleanup directive. That's the next one on there.
We're moving along with ours. I do have some questions about, so we have quite a bit of old gear. I'm talking gear that is probably, close to 20 years old. It's well beyond, it's gone beyond its lifespan. Getting rid of that, I don't feel comfortable putting in a dumpster. I am looking for other places to get rid of that, but there's stuff like helmets that have been there for probably since Wade was there. There's a bunch of stuff in the attic that we're starting to clean out. One of the things that was talked about was trying to find a spot or a means to get it to like third world countries that have, I know I've heard of people
Have the
sending
need.
their used gear over there. I'm looking for permission to do that. Just to get rid of it.
Oh, to find alternatives
Yes.
to distribute the
Yeah.
gear. Gentlemen, what do you think about that? I mean, sometimes collectors buy, people who like to
Could
buy
always-
fire gear would buy a
always sell
helmet,
it,
you know?
They're
I don't know.
they're not the
Not
The
that
stuff
popular
that's-
kind. They're also
they're not the
gross.
collector's item. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. I think
I don't.
the sooner the better.
If you can
Okay.
find a way to, yeah,
If somebody can use it,
Right.
yeah. So we're good. We're good with, if you can
Okay.
find someone who'll use it, that's fine.
All right.
Last one is fire training.
Yes. I don't know why that's on there.
I don't know either.
Okay. My guess is Chuck has been talking about trying to get the three departments to work more together. That's my guess. We have worked together in the past. I think he's trying to do a more formal thing, but that's my guess is why it's on there.
Well, out of curiosity, you're all three fire departments are represented on the fire committee, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a good place to put this?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have any other thoughts on that? That kind of makes sense where, and you haven't had a committee meeting in a few months.
No,
not since before
no.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that would make sense. Yeah. Try to get some kind of community effort from the three departments. I get that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's exactly why you had it on there. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
It looks like we're moving on to the fire and police, police and fire logs. We requested a change of format, so we can get the heart of what's important. Jake, you had something on that, did you?
Yeah, we get this report and it's many, many pages long. I look through it for drug-related items and don't often find any. But what I'd like to see is a kind of a quick reference. Sean's report, 1 page. I'd like to see a highlight of arrests made and drug incidents, anything involving drug incidents.
But there's
And
a
then-
priority as opposed to.
Yeah, and then if the department has this other information, that's fine, to keep the report or whatever, but I'd like to see something that would highlight to me the more significant things, the things that we're really interested in terms of, what the needs are in the village and,
Right, as opposed to something
and-
like a CIS or, yeah, they're checked on.
like a traffic thing or
Yeah,
whatever.
we
you know,
prefer
but I
something
mean,
like
if
that.
it leads to an arrest, then let's take a look at it. So I'd like to just see it.
Shannon?
So these reports are automatically generated, and so you're talking about manual efforts, and if that will be okay. Our dispatcher is at capacity, so and our police are all over capacity between their paperwork and patrolling. So just so you know, generating additional stuff from the police department right now will be overtime.
Okay.
So that it's want versus.
What format are those reports created in?
It's just generated like that.
Right, but,
It's like a chronological.
It comes right out of their computer.
right, but you can convert that to a Excel spreadsheet and resort it like that. I mean, that might work exactly correctly. However, I can say using NEMRIC reports, which I've received in the past, and trying to
Right,
throw
I'm
them
just
into Excel
saying
doesn't
that-
always sort properly, but you can
I
get
I
most
would
of it.
not want to incur overtime.
And I don't think, and what I'm
it's,
saying is, I don't necessarily believe that changing that format would actually create overtime. They switched from one form to an Excel spreadsheet and then resorting the columns is
Police does not.
5 minutes.
Police does not have the converter from Word to, like, from whatever that gets generated out of.
Right, because we get it in a printed form. If someone sent it to me, I could see if I could twiddle with it, because I can do that.
Well,
I use Excel all the time. It's my nickname.
Well, this is
go-to.
just how it prints out for her.
Yeah, but we have a digital copy? Someone, did you already send it to us? I'll see if I can manipulate what I got.
What's wrong with just reading down through the lines?
Well, because the point is we don't need to see page after page after page after page of assists and so on and so forth,
No,
chasing
we
a dog.
don't.
But we'd like to get to the heart of
The
it.
other thing is, we are all very fearful to take anything out of a format that directly comes out of our systems and manipulate them,
Uh-huh.
in fear that we will then be called out on losing information, falsifying information, not providing accurate information, because whenever you do something manually, there's always that.
Right, but you're talking about the boards saying that because there's no money attached to this.
There's,
It's a non-monetary transaction.
I know, but there's a lot of pushback about drug activity and activities in the,
right.
and so manipulating data that is coming out of
Right.
police
Yeah.
activity is a very touchy subject.
I think in
Well,
this
it
raw
would
form,
seem-
it's, because you've had members on that want to see what's going on. It's also a document. I know I've had people on the street ask me about it. So go to the website. It should be, they used to be in with the packets at one point, and I think the last conversation we had with the manager was that we're going to start getting this back onto the website on the packets. But if you start looking through it, other than looking for the drug information, there's other questions that a board member may have is traffic on Route 121 on 721. There's other items in here such as motor vehicle complaint, Darby Hill. So I'm wondering,
We're not talking about eliminating any data. We're just seeing reorganize it so that the drug activity, which is the one that costs us the
Right.
most
It
money
would seem-
because of the amount of time they have to spend doing those things, would like to see how effective it is. For
Yeah.
years, we've thrown a lot of
My
money at
recommendation
policing and not
would
gotten a lot of
have an
value.
internal staff member manipulate data regarding
Right, I
police
agree with
activity
that.
at this time, given all of the
But let me just say this, though. It would appear to me that let's say there's 25 things on the page and there's 20 pages. So there's 200, 300 entries. Somebody enters that, right? Isn't that a
This
time?
is generated by their police activity and what they put into the.
So they
system.
don't enter into anything into the computer. Nobody does anything to this. It just miraculously comes.
No.
No, someone
It's a
enters.
police officer that enters what transaction happens on their shift
When it happens.
So
yeah.
if I was saying that
and the
what,
dispatch.
you don't have to enter all these things. You can just
No,
enter
that is
rest.
mandated to be
That's on their
generated.
sheet.
No,
You cannot.
they have to forward that
There
report
are
to
state
some
and federal
state.
guidelines. That's
Oh,
what I'm saying.
okay.
This
All right.
report is mandated and
Right.
we create
This
it.
is, okay.
And that's why we're just giving it to you and not
Raw
creating
data, yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
additional information.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So would I be in trouble if I manipulated the
You
data
can
by
go-
resorting it?
Right, you can manipulate whatever you want. I'm just,
Right.
and I'm not saying the staff would be in trouble. What I'm saying is it would be one more thing to say, this doesn't match this.
Right, yeah.
We just got this report from you and now this is posted online
I
and
get it.
this doesn't match.
Okay, so.
We're trying to look at ways to evaluate the police department, and that,
And
this doesn't
it's
help.
another, because it's all random.
Yeah.
It's as it happens, not what's
But that's okay. I don't
floating
wanna
to the
create
top
a-
of priority,
I don't
or what
wanna
we
create
would look at as what's more important than what's less important. Now, to bring that up as a point, Stefan's correct. Finding activity on Route 121, which isn't necessarily in Rockingham, it could be a concern. But we can't tell, because on the very first page, it says 731,
Mhm.
a case number, traffic, Route 121. We have no idea if it's in our municipality or if it's in the village.
Well, short of having the agreement of the 121 Route 5 and 103 patrol section, which I thought we weren't doing at the time.
Is that the governor's highway?
No,
It doesn't say that.
No.
It should, shouldn't it?
well, I thought we were all done with Governor's Highway, is my understanding.
Yeah, I don't see any on the report.
We,
Well, anyway,
So, yeah, so you
Well,
understand the limitations, Jigs.
I think it would be easy enough to come up with like a one-page sheet like we get from the fire department that would focus on, in addition to this printout they give us.
yeah, I'm
In
just saying,
addition to that printout, but just a sheet of the priority things that we want to see, because I have a couple as well, which
Right.
I agree.
Right.
And
but
then
if she
I
has
think
to-
that would be something that the new police chief could do easy enough for us.
Well, then we need to wait till that happens and see what we can get, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That's a
we don't want to cause the
that's a
dispatcher
good-
overtime.
that's a good
Right.
suggestion.
Okay, so we'll wait. Okay. Any other questions?
Madam President,
Wait, please, the board's not done. And I see that Sean wants to speak too. So did anyone else have any other questions concerning the fire and police logs?
No.
Okay, Sean.
It's not really my concern, but the program that they use is Valcor,
Right.
and there are a number of different reports that you can do.
Yeah,
So maybe what you could do is have the dispatcher, and this literally takes a minute or two, just have her do a bunch of different reports, and those, instead of exporting and trying to sort, you may just find the reports that you want in a different format.
out of the Valcor.
I always wondered why you guys wanted 35 pages of,
so we
useless
presented
information.
them with all of the different options. When
Have you?
Alicia was here, we had brought, so you guys remember there was like pie graphs and there was lists. So we had presented you with all the options the program.
When was
offers.
that? Last year? 2019?
Probably about 6 months ago,
Okay.
but we can,
Yeah, I don't want to see pie charts or anything like that. It's
No.
just,
We just wanted to see the raw data
But
of
we don't want to create a new,
our drug
Most
activity,
yeah.
certain types of outside of the village activity, those kinds of things, whatever, becomes pertinent.
Right.
Okay, so,
Okay.
new chief, good idea. Wait, thank you. Let us move on to, then we are at police. Oh, wait a minute. Herrick's Cove, that's next.
Madam President,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Wait.
Mr. Mitchell, yes? I
Yeah.
forgot you.
I would tell you that Wendy Tapp, who is the head dispatcher at the Springfield Police Department, sends me the most serious cases that they have. An example, a drug dealer from Bellows Falls who drives around Bellows Falls for the last 10 years on a criminally suspended license that lives on Century Street was busted in Springfield, Vermont, but not Bellows Falls. And coincidentally, the town hall staff owns that house. It's a crack house. Now that was one. I'll send you the other ones if you want to read them about the other fine citizens from Bellows Falls that are selling drugs up in Springfield. They have no problem separating that stuff. But Bellows Falls police do. They don't want you to know why the police were in this building for 2.5 hours the other day. In my building. There's nothing in the press release about it. Nothing. 2.5 hours. 2 cops.
All right. You've hit your minute, I'm afraid.
All right.
We
All
get
right. I hope I made myself clear.
You have. Thank you for the input. Moving on to the next item is Herrick's Cove. We have that conversation about it's still being done since Great River Hydro chose to stop using the Wyndham County Sheriffs, I guess, to take care of that. We've been taking care of it since then. So since sometime last year, summer, fall, something like that. We've been handling it, which means an officer goes up there every day of the week and on Fridays, Saturdays, locks the gate after doing a turnaround to see if there's any trouble up there. And there were concerns, and we're also concerned about the amount of, with a possible scheduling change that might alter the pattern of policing in the village. It would be a great concern to us that someone leaves the village and there's no coverage. So I believe that was the reason why you asked for it to be on there, Wade, or
Herrick's
Stephen?
Cove is what I was under the impression was a directed patrol every night.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I was told.
And why? It's the town of Rockingham. It's not the village of Bellows Falls.
Well,
The town was paying when the sheriff's office, when they no longer wanted to take care of it, as you know, we had to do something pretty immediate because of the drug activity up there, and so the town paid the village to patrol it.
The town is, I mean,
The town always has.
right, but what revenue line would that go under?
yeah, because
It's a transfer, and there's
It's a transfer? I mean, you don't have to necessarily find it tonight, but I'd like to know, say in 2020,
What do we
in
get?
2019, or the FY 2020, excuse me, that would be up until June 30th, how much money was the revenue was received by the village for that service?
I don't recall Wendy explaining it to me that
No,
way.
so if indeed that is being paid,
it is. It's being transferred, and I'll look that up. for
okay,
you.
so just,
But
I don't care if it comes in an email, I'd just like to know
Yep,
that we're really receiving funds.
and I'm pretty sure the last meeting
For that.
I gave you the annual amount.
Shouldn't that be like in an intermunicipal agreement?
Yeah, I would
So
think
that
so. The reality is this is just done
Right?
verbally. We don't have we have an intermunicipal agreement currently. I don't believe in it and it should be just eliminated, but we should have one for this because this is an active ongoing need. We have an intermunicipal agreement currently for Route 121 and Route 5 as well. However, that agreement says they were supposed to track every action, every time, and any revenue that came in was supposed to be reported. And if it didn't say, if we weren't at least breaking even, we were supposed to terminate the contract. That never happened.
Well, let's find out what the revenue is first.
Yep, let's find out what the revenue is, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
And then let's put that on next month's. Okay, so that'll be another one for next
We
month.
estimate a total of about $3,000 for the summer. It's only done in the summer.
It's when did they stop? Why don't they do it? And then why don't they do it in the fall or winter? Drug activities doesn't.
It ends around Labor Day because that's
That's-
when it's not busy up there. That's what the sheriff's.
So they
department-
don't lock the gate after that until spring. Yes.
Well, I think at the time,
We
I
were-
was told that the sheriff's department was paid $14,000.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a $14,000 contract. We got $3,000.
But they were up there and monitoring it, and they were locking
Doing
the
more?
gate 7 days a week,
Okay.
and we are not doing.
Yeah, so I guess that would be something we need to understand too.
Yeah.
How many months of the year do
Oh.
we do that?
It's June, July, and August. In August, it's 6 hours. In June and July, it's estimated to be 24 hours each month.
So it's only those 3 months and we don't lock the gates the rest of the year. That's insane, considering the reason why we went to doing it in the first place.
So,
But okay,
so the So if I'm understanding this right, currently the town provides that service to this, to
The
them?
town is paying the village to do it.
So the town's providing this
Service.
service.
Yes.
For
To-
Greater
to
River
them.
Hydro to Harris
Is it-
Cove.
Well, no, Herrick's Cove, Great River Hydro was providing the service for us, really. They were doing a benefit to the town.
Oh, access
And-
to the,
And they
The
said,
Cove.
we're no longer going to do that. You need to take care of it yourself.
Okay.
Because it's the town's property.
it's town property, but so what part does Great River Hydro participate in? It's part of the FERC process to
Well,
provide something through that.
I don't
And the
believe
other-
that's town property.
And the other thing is the town
Yeah,
had
that's
a
what I'm saying.
large discussion, the town had a discussion about it. And given how much taxes Great River Hydro paid and having a conversation, the select board agreed that they would take over this service from Great River Hydro. This was
Okay.
an entire conversation last year. And we did bring this to the board and you guys did vote on it, the
Right.
payment to the village police from
We
the
did.
town.
I-
It was a
I-
motion, it was approved.
Right, but I don't know if we agreed on how long it would be or those kinds of
Yep.
things. So it's just worth understanding
Well,
it
yeah.
All the
fully.
details of it, just like this, were laid out when you guys made the motion.
Guess we'll need to. Okay,
I guess it'd be good to see it all and
Yep.
reevaluate. it.
yep, and reevaluate. Okay. So that'll be for the next meeting. I'll put it down on my list of stuff for the 8th. If we're done with this piece, then we
Mhm.
move on to police chief search committee update. Jace.
I'm going to have a report. Jeff and I will have a report for you in executive session.
Okay,
The committee's work has been basically finished. So we're getting close to a recommendation.
all right, and maybe in executive session, you can tell us when you plan to do that.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, that would take us on to the last item on here, which is the police department overtime reduction. We're going to get a report in executive session. It's still confidential. Yes, and they're going to tell us in executive session. It's moving to executive session. Police department overtime reduction. That was on here because I believe Mr. McAuliffe asked for it.
And we talked about it at the
We-
beginning, that the
And we-
the overtime is a concern
Yep.
in this budget year, and we want all of the managers to be attentive to it. So
So you think really you've already covered it?
I think we've covered it. Yep.
Okay, we do have a couple of reasons to go into executive session. I don't believe we'll be seeing the attorney for one of them this evening, but that's okay. We can still move forward. Review agenda items for next meeting, September 8th, already developing a sale policy for village equipment or property. And the Herrick's Cove, we'd like to see, go back over, review the paperwork for that. That's 2 items I have. Anyone here have anything else?
What was your first one?
The first one was developing
The fee
is coming
structure.
back with a
Yep.
discussion or
Well,
development of a sale policy for village
actually,
items.
That, in my opinion, should be termed an asset disposal
Okay,
policy.
asset disposal policy, please put it that way. I'm fine. I don't care what linguistics you use.
Well, no, it doesn't make a difference on what you're getting rid
No,
of.
that's fine. Assets, that covers everything
Covers everything.
we sell. Okay,
Been down that road
all
before.
right. And the other one is reviewing Herrick's Code paperwork.
And a
Okay.
fee structure for the usage of the fire station.
Yes, that's another one, the usage of the fire station as well. Okay, review agenda items for the joint board meeting. My understanding is we will be having a meeting on the 18th to talk about the manager, specifically about the manager search.
And that would be it.
So that's September 18th, August 18th. That's
Now,
next
don't
Tuesday.
get-
The public
Next
or
Tuesday.
executive session?
That'll be an executive session, all of it.
For the
Yes.
meeting on the 8th,
Yep.
could we get an update of the progress on the building projects, the furnace project, et cetera?
Oh, on the public safety building?
Public safety building,
Okay.
yeah.
So update on projects of public safety building, okay. Okay. Again, we have one item for the joint board agenda on August 18th. Review and approve orders, bills, and warrants. These
So
are the,
moved.
okay, and these are the folders that we still have signatures to get.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, okay, need a second on the movement?
Need a what?
A second.
I'll suck it up.
So do you need a chance to look at them before you sign off on them? I mean, that's the whole point of approving orders,
okay.
bills, and
No, I
warrants
was
is
out of
if
syn-
you,
I was-
do-
no,
if you have a question on one of them, you
No,
might want to.
I did earlier, but
see
Brian answered it
Right.
already.
That's why Gaetano and I assign them in advance so they can pay the payrolls and pay the
Well,
bills.
and they've been getting them all virtually.
have.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure they have nothing they wanted to review before.
no, Brian answered my question. I was on the tanks.
Well, what
All right.
about the tax sale? Is that,
We're
That-
outsourcing it.
Outsourcing.
well, I know we're,
Well,
out-
Ray
what-
Masuko is
where do
working
we
on that, right?
stand?
Yeah.
We're just getting the collection from taxes were due on the 10th, so we might as well wait until,
At least the end of the week to figure out
Right.
who's paying and who's
who's,
not.
right.
So we're ready to go then, right?
Just
Well, I'm just gonna hand it
about.
over to the attorney.
Okay.
And if people come in and set up an agreement to pay, so then
Well,
that's gonna
just
take
the
them off.
thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And at this time, we can't, there's no eviction, so.
Right, yeah, still. Yeah. Okay. I'll give Jeff a chance to see if he sees anything he wanted to ask about before we go forward.
I reviewed these on
You good?
online, yep.
All right. All right, so all those in favor of approving the orders, bills, and warrants, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. All right, other business, start on your end. Stefan, what do you think? Anything?
We're good.
Okay. Wade?
Two things. I have just wanted to pass along that a couple citizens just wanted me to get it out there that they're concerned that not enough is being done regarding vandalism and drugs on the south end of Green Street. They were pretty frustrated with what's been going on there, I guess. I don't know all the history about it, but anyway, I told them I'd pass it along for hopefully it's something maybe the new chief can dig into.
Good. And I think, and I'm not sure if it's just gonna be the same people you talked to, but I talked to somebody too a few weeks ago. And you
Could
talked
be,
to somebody as
yeah.
well. Yes. Streets, an up and coming, bad environment.
The other-
Please. Oh, I'm sorry, you had something else.
Yeah, the other thing is, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, and I'm glad Brian's still here, but we had, back in late July, there was the town fire department took some Bellows Falls water off the hydrant in Rockingham to, I believe, the way I understand it, possibly fill a pool. Something to that.
heard.
Right.
Oh,
It wasn't being used for fire service.
they filled a tanker to go fill a pool? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
So I talked to Brian and it triggered the alarm at Whitney Blake, or at least possibly, maybe had something to do with it. So the long and short of it is I think we should send the town of Rockingham a bill for, I figured it'd come up to $71
Oh, a gallonage?
500 cubic feet.
for non-authorization of, I mean, technically the village users of that system are the ones that
I'm
are
paying for it.
paying for that.
Yeah, that's true.
And, I mean, we don't know all the details other than it did occur. It was actually on July 27th around noon time, plus or minus a half hour.
Wow.
And, you know, based on just one truckload at 3,000 gallons, it's $71, correct?
Without labor.
What's that?
Well, it was free labor as long as,
Oh, it's
right.
volunteer.
So I think we should be reimbursed through the town for that somehow.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I remember when
And-
I was
and
getting
actually,
free fills on your pool, but usually the fire department would charge you something for doing that service, and that means they had to get their water from someplace too, so.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Did they charge? Do you know where they dumped it? Or
I don't know. I'm assuming they typically they do it because they get a donation.
Right.
You know, somebody donates $50 or $100 to,
yeah,
which in my opinion is a whole different issue. I don't even think fire departments should
Was
be
this
in that.
our fire department?
No, Rocky.
No, Rockingham
Oh, Rocky.
volunteer. That's why
They
he's
went to
saying
the
that
hydrant, our
village
hydrant.
users
Yeah.
didn't use that water.
filled up the truck, went and
Wow.
did something with it.
Because I think they have a hydrant down at their shed in Rockingham, don't they now?
well, that's, if you want to go out of the
They
pond.
got a well. They got a well
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
This was done at the hydrant by Sonic
Okay.
in the industrial park.
that's a no-no.
So you said it set an alarm off?
Well, most likely at the same time frame, the sprinkler alarm, it was an accidental trip of the sprinkler alarm at Whitney Blake.
Oh,
So in response to that, the 2 fire departments responded. So I mean, typically, there was no fire there, and typically that would have been caused by the water being open and closed, correct?
They had a problem with their system.
They did have a problem with their system, but this,
There was no variation for,
right,
Oh, pressure?
yeah.
Right,
Okay.
okay,
so if it just moved a half a pound, triggered their alarm.
right.
Because actually, when our north end tank filled, that was a 2 or 3 pound.
Yeah.
And that did set it off a couple times.
well, this is
Okay.
gonna open a can of worms. Okay. But I mean, it's,
Well,
you're right. I mean, it is what it is. And it's village users who pay for the water. So
Yeah, I just think the town should be billed for it and let them
figure out.
figure out it on their end how they want to deal with it. As long as we
Okay.
get our $71 of water we made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that Brian and his people made.
Right, we'll have to have a
So
conversation.
why don't we
with them.
have Chuck have a conversation with them and
Chuck did have a conversation.
We did.
It's not gonna happen again.
Okay, it's not gonna happen again, but it's already happened.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna see what we need to deal with it. We'll see what we can do. All right. You good?
Nope.
Okay, Jigs.
I would just like to pay tribute to Gary DeRocha. I have been a loyal customer of the recycling center for the last 15 years and have been very pleased with the job that Gary and his crew have done. I read in the paper that there was this committee that was formed, and I looked at the membership of the committee and I was just baffled. I would really like to see the town select board, who has responsibility for the transfer station, get involved and see what exactly happened here. But I think it's a shame we've lost a great manager of that operation, and I just feel very badly the way it was handled, particularly the way it was handled.
Jeff? Nothing? Okay, we do have, the only thing I would say is wear your masks, wear your masks, wear your masks. Children will be going to school, starting back at school about September 8th. I don't want to say it that way. The boards have decided to choose the hybrid method for school, which means 2 days at school, 3 days off. Even though today it came out that the Vermont Education Board has chosen to basically push for 5 days in school for children from kindergarten through 5th grade, and have reduced the distancing from 6 feet to 3. And that's from Dan French of the Vermont Education Board. So I'm really kind of upset that we've gone forward. A lot of our parents, who I'm very sympathetic of their needs to get back to work and their children's need, especially young children, to be educated with the new requirements, but the SU has already chosen the hybrid path. So
Well, yeah, maybe we should give Dan French the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that age group between kindergarten and 5th grade can better maintain social distance and keep the
and
mask
maybe
on.
so, but the SU has already made that decision. They're already going forward with it. So here we are. And I had my say, even though they won't like it. We have two executive sessions tonight, basically
We
both
won't
concerning
censor you here.
union, huh?
We won't censor you.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. Somebody will see it and give me crap about it later. Concerning contracts and employees, mainly contracts. So which one would it be?
Contractual
It's
matters and
probably union matters most likely at this point.
Are we doing 1 or 2 sessions?
Yeah, we're doing 1 or 2 sessions. We had this purpose, and also the search. So we do have to do that. So we'll need to do number 2. I'll do 1, the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee, but the public body must make a final decision to hire or appoint in an open meeting, and it must explain the reasons for its final decision. 1 VSA 313A3.
And who are you inviting?
And I'm inviting, well, it's just board members.
Just the board members,
Unless,
yeah.
Do you need to be here for this one? Yes, no?
That's up to you guys.
Yeah. We know we need to do, but,
I don't think
I think we're
Shannon
good,
needs to
but
do
that's the second one. This is on the employment, so we need a second on this motion.
I'll second it.
Low pressure line going out here?
No, somebody doesn't realize I'm still in a meeting. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we need a second one for that? No. The other one is on labor relations. So if you'd like to do that, number 8. We
Number
need
8.
2 motions on that one. That's the first and second.
Right.
It's on labor relations. It's union related, so.
And I'd like to make the motion that we enter into an executive session
Thank you.
to discuss labor relations and agreements with employees where premature general knowledge may clearly place the municipality at a substantial disadvantage by negotiating in reason, strategy, litigation, etc. per Vermont State Statute 1 VSA, I believe 313A1, if I'm correct.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then do the second one.
Okay, I move that the Board of Trustees enter into an executive session to discuss the labor relations agreements with employees, contract with employees under provisions of Title I, 313A1 of the Vermont statutes.
Need a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're now going into executive session. And now you can turn off your microphones.